Wasabi guys, it is rules time. Because apparently there's at least one person out there that just doesn't seem to get this rule, and it is really only for Commander. And I can understand why some people might be confused, but color identity for your Commander, that's the whole gist of the format. The reason why it doesn't follow the rules of other formats is because other formats don't usually have commanders. You have tiny leaders, that's like the only other one, but that's about it. Now, this person has left comments. See, this one's from 5 months ago. Then he decided to pop up again 2 months ago for a whole nother video saying this is a mono red card. It only has red on it, talking about the CMC of Alesha, which the rules text has hybrid black-white mana, so she can be played as a Mardu commander because of that. Just when I thought that was the end of it, maybe he finally got the lesson, sending him all these different links for the rules, he comes back a week ago in regards to Autumn Willow, saying that she is a mono green commander, which isn't true. You can play a Celestia deck with her as the commander. She herself would not be considered a multicolored card when you have cards that are targeting her. I'm going to go over the rules here in a minute, but the fact that this got 6 likes, 6 thumbs up here in the comments section is just ridiculous. Either people think that's just stupid, or there's actually 6 people that agree with this moron. Oh my god. At this point, I just feel like they're messing with me, because there's no reason, after sending you so much evidence, so many links, the same exact thing. Color identities for Commander. Reminder text doesn't count. Here's another one 5 days ago. 951, that's actually a black-white card. It has a black mana symbol in it, talking about blind obedience and the blue-white deck tech I made for Grand Arbiter Augustine. So that is just, I don't know how to explain this. This got 4 likes, 4 thumbs up. I just don't get what this person's deal is. And we get another person. This one's completely different. At 812, it's a mono green commander, so you can't even have white creatures. Again, talking about Autumn Willow. Oh my gosh. So I feel like it is important that we go and we look up the actual rules for Commander. Because I don't really feel like there are too many people that just go in depth and explain the actual rules. So we're going to be doing that right now. I'm going to be using the official comprehensive rules that have been updated for Rivals of Ixalan, January 19th, 2018. And we're going to go for the most relevant rules. 903 Section 4, the Commander variant uses color identity to determine what cards can be in a deck with a certain commander. The color identity of a card is the color or colors of any mana symbols in that card's mana cost or rules text, plus any colors defined by its characteristic defining abilities. See Rules Section 604.3 or Color Indicator, Rule 204. So we're going to go to 604, but basically just the gist of this is that if there's any actual mana symbols on the card, it counts towards that card's color identity for both your commander and any of the cards that are in that deck, because they need to be within that commander's color identity anyway. So we're going to hop on over to Rule 604.3 to talk about characteristic defining abilities, which are basically just static abilities such as devoid, anything that changes other characteristics or basically overrules something else written on the card. So devoid is a good example of this because technically the card is considered colorless because of that. I think that is a pretty cool example there. Also affects other things such as power and toughness, but basically it's a line of text that is going to say this is what the card is treated as, and that is always applied to that card, whether it's in your hand, your library, or your graveyard. Rule 204 is the ruling on color indicator. Now the color indicator is basically just going to be talking about the actual color of the card if it has 0 mana cost. So the best example of that would be Pact of Negation, the packs from Future Sight, as well as Dryad Arbor. Those are pretty weird cards, but they need that little color indicator so you actually know the color of the card and don't just go by what the color of the border, everything actually looks like, the boxes, stuff like that. But to me, the most important part to consider for this specific rule, when we go back to 903.4, when we talk about the commander variant and color identity, let's go over to 903.4b. Reminder text is ignored when determining a card's color identity. So the reminder text is basically within those parentheses. If we go to see Rule 207.4. There's a lot of different rulings, so I apologize if this is going to take a little while here. And this is the ruling regarding the text boxes and all the different bits of information you're going to see. So if we go to 207.2a, reminder text is italicized text within parentheses that summarizes a rule that applies to that card. It usually appears on the same line as the ability it's relevant to, but it may appear on its own line if it applies to an aspect of the card other than an ability. So this is basically telling you what exactly the reminder text is. So if you don't already know what it is, these are the comprehensive rules, guys. This is what the actual rule is. And this does not actually count towards the card. It's disregarded. It's treated as if it's not on the actual card. Because if we have other keywords, extort is technically a keyword, lifelink, death touch, flying, these are all keywords that don't need that reminder text. So those are also considered non-existent on the card because you don't need the reminder text for those keywords. You need a reminder text for extort because it's an uncommon keyword. If it were more common, it would be treated in a very similar way to flying, lifelink, to where we wouldn't need a reminder text. That's all that reminder text is. It's sort of like the reminder text underneath a lot of those hybrid mana cards where you have different mana symbols. They need to teach you what mana can actually be spent on this card. And the same thing goes for Phyrexian mana, stuff like that. That's not actually treated as if it's part of the rules text. It is separate. It's an explanation for people who don't understand it already. But anyway, I hope that clarifies things. I hope if you don't already understand that color identity is pretty much specific for Commander because of our commanders. We need color identity to come to the conclusion that certain cards can be played in this format and certain cards cannot be played. If you have Autumn Willow or if you have Alesha, you know now that those are technically going to be mono red on the field when it comes to using cards such as Ultimate Price that only can target and deal with monocolored creatures. Yes, but when it comes to the Commander format and the command zone, completely different rulings. So yes, you can technically play multiple different color cards in an Alesha deck as well as in an Autumn Willow deck, a Tasigur deck, any commander that has those weird mana symbols. Yeah, it is weird, it's different, you don't see it all the time, but just because it's not in the converted mana cost of the actual creature, those are mana symbols on the card itself. It's the whole ruling with Bosch Iron Golem, where technically the activated ability is red, so the actual color identity of Bosch is going to be red, even though 8 generic mana to cast him. So it is very weird. I understand some people might have that confusion there, but it makes sense. It's specifically for Commander. This section, once you get into the 900s of the comprehensive rules, this is all for Commander. This is pretty much separate and only applies to this format, while you also have other functions of the actual game that are still going to be applicable, which is really the only reason why I would think that anyone would have a problem understanding that, is if they're coming from another format and they've only played that format, and they might know a lot about those rulings, but Commander rulings are specific to this format. So if you're going to come into this format thinking that all of the rules are going to be the same, and at this point, I have to come to the conclusion that you're just trolling me, because I don't think anyone would just keep coming back at me, knowing that they're getting all these comments in response to them, all these replies, linking to these same rules, letting them know that, hey, this is what color identity is. This person's come at me with 4 or 5 different comments telling me why they think I'm wrong. Only person who's actually doing this, there's one other person, I don't know, it might be the same person. You know, you can have multiple different accounts on YouTube and remain completely anonymous, so I don't really know all the possibilities. But even regardless of this person's comments, I still think it's important just to clarify what exactly is color identity in the format. So if you have any other questions, not this person specifically, but if any of you guys have questions about the official rules, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes I get rulings wrong. I try to get the basic fundamentals right. There's going to be some out there rulings that I might mess up on, but for the most part, I try to understand all of the different rulings that I can that you're going to run into consistently. So if you want to read all of the rules that I just read off for yourself and look up even more, the link to that will be in the description below. It is their wiki page. They have the comprehensive rules updated for Rivals of Ixalan. So even if it's not Commander, you have all of the official latest up-to-date rulings that you can find, which I think is pretty important if you want to improve as a player. And I'm not saying that these are the only comments that I've received regarding the rulings. It's just that these are the ones that stand out to me the most. But anyway, let me know what you think about the official rulings. Let me know what you think about those hilarious comments. I try not to let anything piss me off too much, but sometimes it gets a little bit annoying. But anyway, Void here signing off. You all have a wonderful day. See you all next video.